Hey everyone, what's up? This is Zach, and I am here with an album review for you guys. And we are continuing with the Asia series of reviews, the Asia discography, and we will be continuing with Asia's third studio album, Astra, which released in 1985. And this was the last studio album before the original lineup split, at least for a while, before they would return in the late 2000s. So I'm sure a lot of people were very disappointed when the original lineup split, when John Wetton left the band and everything. And of course, Asia wasn't really doing anything for a little bit. Of course, that wasn't until they got John Payne in the band, which we will get to when we get to with the next Asia review, of course. But as far as Astra goes, of the three albums that Asia put out in the 80s, the trilogy, you could say, you could call it, I do think that of the three albums that they've done in the 80s, this is easily my least favorite. And in my opinion, I think it is the weakest of the 80s run of Asia records. And I think the main reason for that is because I think this album is too 80s for its own good. Now, granted, yes, I know it was released in the 80s. It was released in 1985, but I think this album suffers from just not aging too well. I think it's a similar case to how a lot of people feel with Rush's album Hold Your Fire, for instance. A lot of people say that that album is too 80s for its own good, and because of that, it hasn't held up well because of that 80s cheese, you could call it. And I think that's the issue with this album, especially with those synthesizers that you get on this album. I don't know what Asia was trying to do with this album. I don't know if they were just trying way too hard to make an attempt to go back to the success of that first album, because the second album, Alpha, didn't do quite as well as the first album. Still, did quite good for itself, but, just not as good as their debut. So I don't know if that's what they were trying to do on this album, but it just didn't work. Now, I will say this, Astra, it is a good album. I still consider it a good album, just not a great album. And again, easily the weakest of the 80s albums that Asia did. But let's go ahead and go over the track listing here. We've got Go, which is the biggest song off this album and one of Asia's biggest songs just in general, and that's what opens up this album. And you know what? This is actually one of the best songs on this album, and yeah, it's definitely great. It's actually one of my favorites from this record, and it's definitely a big hit for a reason. And yeah, it's got the catchiness, it's got the hooks and everything. Get Up and Go. I mean, you can't go wrong with that song. Definitely great and memorable. And then you've got Voice of America, which is a decent song. That seems to be one of the fan favorites on here. I don't mind that song. And then Hard on Me, that song kind of gets overlooked from this album, but I actually don't mind that one. It's pretty good. You got pretty good vocals from John Wetton. And then we've got the song Wishing, which I think is a decent song. Probably one of the better songs off this album. And then Countdown to Zero and Love Now to Eternity. These songs for me are just okay. I mean, they're definitely not some of the best songs on the album, but they're just all right, in my opinion. Kind of just middle of the road kind of songs for me. And then we've got Too Late, which I think is another favorite of mine off this album. I do like that song. Now, yes, it does have some of that 80s cheese to it, especially with the keyboard work, the synthesizer, stuff. I mean, it's still good though. I still don't mind it. It still has that catchiness, especially in the chorus. I actually don't mind the song Too Late. It's actually pretty good, even if it does have some of that 80s cheese to it. But next we've got Suspicion, one of the more forgettable tracks on this album. Rock and Roll Dream, And then after the war, it's okay. But yeah, overall, this album, it's decent. It's pretty good. But again, I wouldn't call it great or amazing by any means. It's definitely not one of my favorite Asia albums, but, it's still pretty good for what it is. If I were to give this album a rating or a score, I would give this probably a 7 out of 10. It's kind of just a decent, pretty good album for me. Nowhere near their best, but there's still some highlights on this album, though. I mean, some songs to check out from this album, I'd say, are Go, Voice of America, Hard on Me, and Too Late. Those are songs that are worth checking out, I'd say. Yeah, but again, this album, while it does have some good material, there's also some material that I find pretty forgettable, such as Love Now Till Eternity and Suspicion and Rock and Roll Dream. These songs just are kind of just meh for me, so that's why I'm giving this a 7 out of 10. And again, with the 80s cheese that it has going for it, it kind of makes the album not sound as well today, you could say. But still not a bad album, though. But you could definitely tell around this time that, Asia just didn't know what else to do. And thankfully, with the next album, which is the first album with John Payne, who was their new singer at the time, he would come to the band and they would put out Aqua, which I think is one of the best things that Asia has ever put out. But we will get to that next. But as far as Astra goes, again, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. It's just decent or pretty good, in my opinion. So let me know what you think of the album Astra, the third studio album from Asia. Do you like this one? Do you actually disagree with me? And do you think that this is one of their best? Feel free to let me know in the comments. So with that said, thank you for watching, take care, and have a good one.